If they were going to zig, I'm going to zag.
Yeah.
And right now, what is funny is that so many people go, oh, Jay, I've never seen stand-up the way you do it. And I go, yes, you have. You just have been inundated and been flooded with shit that is a bit more algorithmically focused. And guess what? My shit is algorithmically focused too, but in a different way.
This is Good One. I am Jesse David Fox, senior writer at Vulture and author of Comedy Book. My guest today is Jay Jurden. I've known Jay since 2021 when I helped create a Vulture stand-up show at Brooklyn's Union Hall, my favorite venue anywhere. Jay co-hosts the show with Zach Zimmerman, and it's every other week. You should go. It's the best. For me, getting to go has been one of the great joys in my career as I've been able to see Jay develop as one of the strongest, most dynamic joke writers working today. For anyone who's seen his multiple Tonight Show appearances, you know Jay's writing is dense, it's musical, it's impeccably thought out. Just special jokes. Speaking of specials and jokes, Jay has his first ever stand-up special on Hulu out on November 7th. It's called Yes Ma'am. So here is Jay Jurden. I'm here with Jay Jurden. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Jesse.
I dressed up for you. You dressed up for me.
Yes, of course. I seen the article, ties are back.
Yes.
Ties are back. That's what GQ says because they want to sell some ties.
Yes.
And it's fall. I went knit tie because it's fall. Yeah.
I have a knit tie. I consider it, but I want this.
I love it. Very preppy.
Yeah,
this is within my wheelhouse. I love a take on prep.
Yes. That's what this is literally a Yale tie.
Exactly. I love it. Well, but I like a take on prep because Black Ivy to me is a very fun kind of subversion of both respectability politics and kind of playing with and against expectations. So like an Oxford with sneakers, an Oxford while rapping. I think Young Dro probably did the best when he became obsessed with polo, and all his raps were about polo, and now he's kind of back. But like that's when I think about like the early 2000s.
We'll talk about fashion later.
We'll talk about fashion
later, like the 30 minutes of the conversation. Table this. I have a lot of overlapping opinions, but we start here.
Yes.
What's the funniest thing that happened to you this week?
Funniest thing that happened to me, it happened 3 days ago. I had a 4-hour delay at the Dallas airport because I was flying from Kansas City to Tulsa, so I had to go through Dallas. I had to change gates 4 times. Not funny to me, but funny because it happened to me. Now that I have a bit of distance from hilarious bit. Hilarious bit. Gate 8, gate 18, gate 20, gate 3. Because by the time I got to gate 20, I went, this is it. They put Tulsa on the screen. It switched. It said LAX. I said that. They said, okay, you guys, we got one more gate change, and I promise it's not going to happen again. At this point, I'm fuming. Yeah. I'm the most mad I've been in public in a long time. And the gate agent goes, you guys, you know what? Run it back. Let's do it one more time. I'm able-bodied.
Yeah.
A lot of these people, it took, so it was funny now that I can look back on it, but God, I was pissed. And it's probably pissed to see me. It's probably funny to see me that pissed. Yeah. So it was funny.
That's interesting. I'm now thinking there could be a really interesting, study, if you study the history of airplane jokes, right? Because, comedians disproportionately take airplanes and then, talk about it.
Yes.
And then, so then it's how has the nature of the joke changed? Because I do feel like in the last 15 years, it's been about sort of corporate breakdown and the inability to provide the service opposed to the food's bad.
Yeah. Nathan McIntosh has an amazing joke about Boeing that he does that I think that is kind of what you're getting into, which is now because people have a bit more class awareness, people are a bit of corporate overlords, people are aware of the Boeing conspiracies. Yeah. Now people have jokes about that. And then there's another path that people take once you make just enough money where you just kind of joke about how there shouldn't be all this riffraff in the lounges. And those are two divergent paths. Sure. And people love that stuff. And there are parts of me that go, oh, this is naked classism, but also it is kind of funny. Because it went from being making the joke about seeing people in first class judging you to becoming the person in first class judging people to becoming the person at the lounge judging people who haven't been in the lounge before.
I do feel of the first class jokes, the pinnacles is Hannibal talking about just doing first class for the small part of a two-part flight.
Yeah.
So then he's sitting and coaching the second part and I was like,
Yeah. You get the full experience.
Yeah. So I was thinking about you. I was like, who is Jay like? And I go, oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's Kevin Durant.
Yeah, okay. Whoa.
And-
Whoa, I love this. Can I say something?
Sure.
OKC related. I think I'm a little bit close to KD and SGA, primarily because SGA won a championship and an MVP last year with a mid-range jumper. And if there's one thing I love, it's a joke that if it was a boxing analogy, it would be a jab. If it's the NBA, it's a mid-range jumper. Because guess what? It's a guaranteed two. You have to respect that, and you have to respect the three, and you have to respect if I'm a slasher, if I'm going to the bucket. Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, so like the thing about Kevin Durant and you is master craftsmen really believe in working on the craft in a way that is... The thing about Kevin Durant that's weird is that he really loves basketball.
Yeah.
So he just like he's just playing basketball for fun. I mean, the famous example is him like, in the club shooting, practicing his phone.
Jesse, that is very funny, but it's also like at the top of like what kids call scaring the hoes energy. Because it's like, we're supposed to be in the club. KD, you don't care about nothing else. You don't care about brushing your hair. You don't care about putting on something new. You don't want a bunch of baby mamas and kids. All you care about is basketball.
Yeah. So the other half, there's similarity, is both you and KD, your two loves are your craft.
Yeah.
And then every day signing up to go into the minds of whatever the discourse is, fighting it out.
That's right.
And people always make fun of Kevin Durant and goes, I love doing this.
Yeah.
And you are similar. How do these things relate in so much as your love of being a comedian and craft in your jokes and your love of just being in the mix?
Yeah. Well, if you actually love stand-up, you love it, you respect it, you protect it. If I see someone who's not being a good steward of this thing that has changed my life, this thing that is the only reason I've been able to go to all these states, this thing that is the only reason that I can pay for my apartment, this thing that is the only reason I've quote unquote made it in New York. If I see someone doing a shitty job or telling a lie about this thing, I feel it is my duty as a good stand-up to call this shit out. And not for nothing, there used to be a world where if you knew ball, if someone didn't know ball, you had to say, wait a second, I don't think you understand how this works. So now, if someone says, oh, stand-up's not good anymore, and I go, what do you mean by that? They go, oh, well, you know, the only people I watch is Dave Chappelle. I go, just so you know, what you're saying is the only big you watch is Shaq.
Yeah.
And you watching Shaq on the Celtics or the Cavaliers. You aren't even saying Orlando and LA Shaq are the best Shaq I'm ever... Because guess what? I'll agree with you. If you want to talk about Kill 'Em Softly, if you want to talk about For What It's Worth, I agree with you. Guess what? That's my comedy origin story.
Yeah.
But when you start saying shit like, oh, we don't have comics no more, do you watch games? Do you watch game footage? Because if you don't, say that.
Yeah, you're literally exactly the same. Where it's like, people are like, why is Kevin Durant fighting with nobodies? He's like, he really believes in people should be taking basketball seriously.
That motherfucker is obsessed with basketball. The same way I'm obsessed with stand-up because it creates an avenue for people to not only tell their stories, but also like do everything else. Everyone who you think of is like, oh, super famous from stand-up. They had moments in stand-up that got them there. So people go, Kevin Hart's a movie star. Kevin Hart became famous, kind of NBA related, because of Shaq's All-Stars, but because of Laugh at My... Kevin Hart, to me, is a perfect example of if you do stand-up very well and the right things happen, at a certain point, you can open up restaurants.
Yeah.
Because you go, damn, y'all like this? Okay.
Yeah, I think Kevin Hart is an interesting example, partly because I believe a lot of white people only knew him once he already was a movie star.
Yeah.
So they're like, he's whatever. He's just like, it's like, no, he was very good at stand-up, and he did like really like an interesting mix of like Eddie energy-wise, but like self-deprecating, but also storytelling and like fairly honest about like the nature of his life. Just by the time you knew about him, he kind of already talked about like all the hard things.
Yeah, and people don't understand. Kevin Hart was talking about his mom dying. Kevin Hart was talking about his dad's addiction. Kevin Hart was talking about losing, and not just losing the stuff that people complain about now. He was losing. He wasn't doing well. He was going through a divorce. He had all this shit that was happening to him. And even when he got famous enough to make it around famous people, he made sure to still understand he had a pebble in his shoe and he was still a loser. So then when he hangs out with Dwayne Wade, he comes up with one of the funniest jokes where he goes, there's been NBA money. I go, oh, you see the way my checking and savings is set up. I got to move it up. Kevin Hart was a master of being like, guess what? I'm going to lose. And through me losing, the comedy is going to be richer. And people who aren't making as much money as me, people who aren't as successful as me, they're still going to relate to me. And you have that, I mean, you talk about one of the best scenes ever in a Judd Apatow movie. Kevin Hart in a Jamaica shirt arguing with Romney in 40-Year-Old Virgin. That's, to me, that scene belongs in the American movie comedy canon. That's one of the best scenes. That's one of the best black scenes in a white movie ever.
Yeah, and I believe Judd was like, just do a scene.
Ugh, I love that scene so much.
So if you're on this podcast a few weeks ago, speaking of Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
and we were talking about the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and you sort of ended on a note, which is like, say people's names, talk about it. And there's not necessarily... There's a stigma of like, don't actually say anyone's name. And I do feel like in the weeks since we talked, more people are doing it. I mean, the first was sort of like, though she didn't say the name. It's like Taylor Swift released that song about Charlie XCX.
Yeah.
Haley Williams had a song and just said, this is who the song's about. Even like Andrew Schultz on the other side of it was like, here are the people talking trash about me personally. Where everyone else still will talk vaguely, right? It's like everyone's like, oh, Austin's like this. And the Austin people are like, yeah, LA comedians are like that. And like Andrew Schultz was like, Andrew Santino's not being good to you, Joe Rogan. And Joe's like, yeah, I had him on, he's my whatever. Do you think there's a trend going forward where it comes from?
I think that people recognize there is a little bit of money and clickbait and engagement in beef. I think that's always been the case. I went to high school 2003. The most famous rapper in 2003, 50 Cent. And 50 Cent's first single, people think it's in the club. It wasn't in the club. It was Wankster. 50 Cent had a Ja Rule pull string toy in Wankster where he was making fun of Ja Rule. And Aftermath and G-Unit and Shady Records said, this is our lead single. And I was like, during all the mixtape stuff. So I think sometimes a good beef can really make people pay attention to you. And if you have something to say afterwards, they'll love it. I think right now, when it comes to like the comics who are mad at each other and people who are like popping off a little bit, you get to pop off as much as you can if your shit is good. So when it comes to like Andrew Schultz versus Andrew Santino, or if Schultz is mad at Stavi still, guess what? The tail of the tape is what's really gonna set it apart. And if your fans agree with you, it's really tough to say no one cares about Riyadh when all of your fans care about Riyadh. That's the hardest. It's really tough to be like, I didn't know people get mad, and you have 1,000 comments going, I'm mad.
Yeah. And all these guys clearly look at their Reddits because their Reddits are constantly holding them to a certain standard, which is wild. But like, that's the thing I think most people don't know about certain comedians is like their Reddit page is almost 100% critical of every single move they make.
Well, because you know what it is, you gave a bloodlusted, ravenous crowd a little bit of red meat because you were calling out hypocrisy. And guess what? They're smart enough to go, wait a second, this feels hypocritical. So as you can love Bill Burr and still go, whoa, let's look at what his fans are saying. And his fans aren't happy. And that's something that he has to contend with.
Yeah. The thing I was thinking is like, everyone talks about wanting Tough Crowd back. Tough Crowd being the Comedy Central show.
Oh, my God.
Where everyone was talking shit about each other.
Jeff is actually spoiling me right now because I love Tough Crowd.
But the thing is, people like talk about wanting it, but then don't actually want to be tough. They want like sort of they want the part of Tough Crowd where each person got to say what they thought, but they don't want the other part where they got made fun of.
They don't want the part where Dat Fan wins Last Comic Standing and Patrice says, hey, can your mom just do the show since you're going to do an impression of her every 5 minutes? They don't want the part of Tough Crowd where people go, ooh, that's funny. But hey, man, do you remember when you did this? Like, they don't want Dr. Nero making fun of them. They don't want Greg Giraldo making fun of them. They don't want Lisa Lampanelli making fun of them because they have this like sort of like very rose-tinted memory of the past. It's like the people who go, oh, like I love stand-up comedy, and then they don't know who Dave Attell is. And I go, whoa, okay.
Yeah, I think everyone thinks the past was people saying whatever they wanted and everyone was fine with it, which was the past was people complained all the time about everything. It's just that at different times, your ability to still say it was different, whatever the slur or thing is. And like Tough Crowd was a great example, which is like, it was not like these guys just said whatever. It's truly like the whole premise of that was a debate show where now it's like people are like, yeah, I just want to just sort of.
No, those guys fought. That it would be essentially if you had a podcast with someone and there was pushback at every turn. It wasn't like we agree with each other because you're my boy, because you're my feature on the road, or because I produced your special. It'd be like if you had two people who were peers going, I disagree. I've had disagreements like that with people when it comes to crowd work. I've had people who love crowd work who I'm friends with, and they go, Jay, don't you understand? It's a valuable resource. And I go, yeah, but guess what? I never want anyone to come to my show and be mad I'm still talking.
Yeah.
And those are two legit points that you have to suss out through an argument.
Yes. Gianmarco said your name when he was on this show, so you could say we're talking about
I love it. And
but you guys are friends, and I think that's an example of it, which is like you have a disagreement. If everyone had the exact same opinion of what the art should be like and did it, then it would be the most boring. And I do feel like there is a tendency to people wanting stand-up to be the most boring art form possible, to do exactly only the thing they want. And in our social media especially, they're essentially being like, yeah, be like the algorithm, which just like literally just give me the thing that I want. We're just like, no,
because then
conflict is allowed and makes it better.
And because then how do you ever have any actual stamp on what your product is? How do you leave an indelible mark? If you're in your 40s and Matt Rife does your club and you go, oh, Matt Rife's blowing up with crowd work, so I'm gonna do crowd work and film it now. Guess what? He's your daddy now. He's your daddy. You're his son. He is your dad. Do you want that? I don't want that. That to me is something that has always helped me go, ooh, okay, if someone's doing this, if they're gonna zig, I'm gonna zag.
Yeah.
And right now, what is funny is that so many people go, oh, Jay, I've never seen stand-up the way you do it. And I go, yes, you have. You just have been inundated and been flooded with shit that is a bit more algorithmically focused. And guess what? My shit is algorithmically focused too, but in a different way. I'm very punchy, and I'm very 15-second to 30-second punchy. My metronome is like, I try to get a joke every 10 to 12 seconds. My laughs per minute, it hovers around there. Because I go, guess what? I can clip this up. Also, I want the crowd to go, oh my God, he's bombarding me. I can't actually telegraph anything. I just need to release and laugh. And then if I'm ever quiet, if I ever make you wait more than 10 seconds for a punchline, you go, oh, is this important? And then I get to rug pull you.
Yeah. It's interesting. So, yeah, I wrote down your most recent thing that you've been talking about in the Minds, which was, I believe you posted this only on Threads, which is wild that you have different things to post on
Twitter. Yeah. I'll be going all over the place.
So you wrote,
Say it.
I would argue recently too many people in stand-up have focused on being transgressive instead of being funny. The ratios are all of when you think the quickest way to success is slurs per minute or slurs for a minute at a filmed open mic.
Yeah.
And I do think that is, so speak on that.
Okay.
So I think it's a fair point, but what made you feel like you needed to voice this?
I think that because so many people think the only way to make it is through Kill Tony now, I think that when bookers for TV, when bookers for clubs come up to me and say that they have been inundated with videos from important three-letter agencies and from lower-level people and smaller people who think that they can send them a minute of a person saying something they can never air, they go, I can't use this. If you had a great minute on Kill Tony, make that the stinger at the end of your 5-minute tape that you send to these people. I think that because there's been an outsized amount of attention given to them via the internet, that people go, oh, this is the way. And I go, this can't be the way because it's not usable. It's such a specific niche skill set to say something crazy enough to get that crowd riled up in Austin that one night in front of that panel and then get shit on for however long afterwards. I think that is such a specific skill set that you have to recognize that's what that is there for. In the same way that when I do a late night set, I know that 4 minutes and 50 seconds, I know that is not my set. That is a version of my jokes for NBC through standards and practices that me and Michael Cox agreed on. That is not my hour. That is not the whole sum of my comedic resume. What it is what I can get away with on NBC. And Justin talked about this. I think he was quoting someone else when he said this. Comedy, and one of the big goals for me in comedy right now is getting away with it. I get away with telling the funny group sex joke on NBC. I got away with saying chlamydia on NBC. I got away with it. I didn't get in trouble for it.
Yeah.
I got away with it. And that is what I want to do. I don't know what other people want to do, but that's what I like.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the I have no idea what their argument would be against your... I mean, obviously they're like, well, we're outside whatever the mainstream is. But ultimately it's can you adapt yourself to different settings? I imagine if you did Kill Tony, you would crush. Because but
then guess what? We talked about this earlier. My fans would revolt.
Yeah.
People who love me would go, Jay, why would you do this? Jay, why would you go there? Jay, and I'd say, oh, I want to get more famous. I'm fine. I like the path I'm on. I like the trajectory I have for my career. But yeah, I could do it very well. There's a world, and you know what? I'll manifest it. There's a world where for one of the Netflix's a Joke Fest, if they have a good roast, I get either hired to write or I get on the dais.
Yeah.
If Tony Hinchcliffe is on that dais with me, do you not think I am salivating at the thought of him saying something crazy about me first or me getting to draw first blood because there's an actual faggot up there? Do you think I need it? I want it. That's the KD in me where I go, oh, please let me play.
Yeah.
Please let me say something crazy.
It is unfair that he got to be a surprise guest on that roast, so no one knew to make jokes about him.
Well, guess what? That's a pussy move.
Yeah. Well,
Say it.
Well, this is less interesting, which was, I remember, I've talked to Nikki when, I guess I can say it. I sometimes write jokes for Nikki for the roast, and I'm a very small part of a huge machine that she has been able to orchestrate into the pinnacle of comedy creation. But there's a thing that you notice, which is good jokes about people that are less famous don't get to work because people don't know who they are.
It's the best. It's the best position to be in because I love it when people go, who the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Who was that? And Nikki is such a good example. Nikki Glaser is such a good example of that because if you know anything about comedy, you go, I love Nikki Glaser. Nikki Glaser, we love Nikki Glaser. There were still people in America who saw the roast of Tom Brady who went, who is that pretty blonde lady that was so funny?
Yeah.
She was so mean, but she was so funny. I go, Nikki Glaser.
Yeah.
Nikki, one of my jokes about Marjorie Taylor Greene, I got so worried because it was so close to a very famous Nikki Glaser joke about Ann Coulter. And in my head, I go, no, everyone knows about the Kentucky Derby. There are multiple women who have horse faces. We'll be fine. But because I respect Nikki Glaser so much, in my head I was like, okay, is this too close? Let me map this. Let me make sure there's aesthetic distance between these two jokes. Because to me, Nikki Glaser, once again, trailblazer and icon, and being pretty, being funny. Because guess what? We all want to be on TV. So everyone does want to be pretty. Everyone does want to be really funny. Everyone wants to have their fans who love the shit they did early and kind of expand that group. And that's what Nikki's doing right now, and I'm so happy for her.
You are willing to be mean to people you don't like in your stand-up in a way that I think, even if maybe this is a very Trump first term thing, which was you don't make fun of the people about a thing that a person who wasn't that person would hear and be like, that's an insult against me.
Yeah.
But you are like, I think we just make fun of these people for the thing. And if you, well, I'll let you speak on it. Why do you feel like it's okay? There might be this is the Marjorie Taylor Greene was, but I think the Elon Musk one is probably a better example.
Yeah.
Where there are people who maybe also be on the spectrum and be like, oh, wait, that hurts my feelings, even though I'm not Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But you do it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think that the ability to be a little bit nasty and biting does not need to be removed from stand-up. I never have to be a Pollyanna. I don't think I have to couch all of my insults in all of these prefaces. So I'm being like, you should be nice to everyone who falls anywhere on the spectrum. Primarily because I think this joke is about Elon Musk, and you also understand that if you think I'm attacking everyone on the autism spectrum, no, because that joke is so specifically tailored to make fun of him, because if his entire personality is rooted in kind of being this super mad genius, you have to take away the idea that he's smart to actually make fun of him.
Yeah.
Because I'm not making fun of people who are socially awkward. I'm not making fun of people who have, who have developmental delays. I'm making fun of Elon Musk and his lie that he's this sort of super genius. And the fact that he's got a bunch of baby mamas and he's African.
Yeah. The thing that is interesting is you started stand-up late in life. Late in life defined by how we think of when people start stand-up.
You know what? Breaking news, I'll say it, 2017. People don't know that.
Yeah.
I always used to lie. I used to say 2015 because that's when I moved to New York. But I didn't go to my first mic and take it seriously until 2017 after having lied about doing stand-up. Because I'd done a one-person show that was pretty heavy on the funny when I was in grad school. My instructor was like, Jay, there's not enough pathos. I was like, my dad died. Anyway, so back to these jokes.
Yeah, so I do think of the people that started stand-up later in life, which is still in your 20s, but ultimately not 21.
Yeah.
It's like you, Michael Che, Sam J. for some people, I'm sure there's lots of people who start stand-up at 28 and then it doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
But like it does. Part of the first 3 years of stand-up or 5 years of stand-up could be one, who the hell am I? What am I doing with my life? And also, how do I be comfortable on stage? And you just sort of like had a more sense of who you were and were more comfortable on stage. The thing that I was not sure of is, so you get, you have a BFA, MFA.
Yeah. And BA. Well,
Yeah,
BA
and BA,
English,
but you know, and then you have a theatrical agent. You're in New York already. When you decide I'm going to be a stand-up comedian after doing this, what was that week life or whatever? Like, not even as much as like what was the opportunity, but like, what were you like? Why weren't you just not a stand-up when you were 20 or whatever?
Well, but I was in grad school. I moved to New York when I was done with grad school, and I'd always written for if there was like a senior roast, I wrote for those. There was a parody song, I wrote the lyrics for those and make sure it mapped on the melody. If there was any sort of like, we had 2 stand-up sections in both of my theater training programs where we had to watch stand-up, transcribe it, scan it, basically model it like it was a monologue, find operative words, act it, lift it off the page, enrich it, and enliven it. So I moved to New York, and I was still just like, I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be an actor, going to be a personal trainer. And every now and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll get to do like something fun for TV, but I might have to tour a lot. And so I had booked a commercial. I was doing okay. And then I really was like, oh, I need to do stand-up. I love stand-up. I've loved stand-up since middle school. The first stand-up I ever watched was Comic View, and then it kind of like exploded. It was like Comic View. That's why it's crazy whenever Godfrey says my stuff is good, because I go, I watched you when I was 14, Godfrey.
Yeah,
He's a vampire. Y'all don't know? Breaking news once again, Godfrey's a vampire. Look at his skin.
It's wild, yeah.
So I got to watch Comic View. I got to watch Last Comic Standing. I get to meet Tammy Pescatelli, and she goes, Jay, I like your stuff. I go, just so you know, I love that. I get to meet and make fun of Rich Voss. You know, there are people who I never thought I would ever get to see. And then we talk about Tough Crowd. I get to meet Colin Quinn. So when I moved to New York, I loved stand-up. I just was so scared to do it. The first stand-up show I ever went to in New York was at Comic Strip Live, because I live uptown. And I saw that and I went, ooh. And I still like took a year before I ever did it.
What were you scared of?
I was scared that I wouldn't be respected because I was an actor. I was scared that I was a bit too theater-y. And so in my first year...
As code or just actual theater?
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I was also scared that there's an element of like grit that I didn't have. Because if you know anything about 2015 to 2017... Peak Louis, every white boy at that point was either doing John Mulaney or doing Louis, and some of them had started to copy Mark Norman because he was blowing up in New York in a way that like was crazy. So
if you have a brand like that, you're like, I can do those things.
Yeah. And so then you kind of go to your first mic and you go, oh, what am I going to talk about? And I made a very conscious decision to never be in the closet on stage. I said, I'm always going to talk about queer shit. I'm going to talk about gay shit from the beginning, because if this is a gay mic, they're going to love it. If this is a straight mic, I'm going to stand out. And that was my goal. I knew that also was like, if you say gay shit at a mic and you like go up early, there are gonna be 3 or 4 straight guys after you who kind of make fun of you, and you just have to deal with that shit. And if you can chip back, they usually go, okay, you got it. If you kind of shrink and get scared of them, so I was also never scared. I was a personal trainer. I dealt with like a bunch of gym meatheads, both gay and straight. So I was always like, unless it like really becomes like physical, I'm gonna say something crazy about you back.
Yeah.
So I decided to do it. My acting agency, I sent them like 3 emails. I said, I think I'm pretty good at stand-up. Would you come to, they didn't come to my Broadway Comedy Club Bringer show. They didn't come to any of my like shows I was doing at Vodka Soda with Philip whenever I first started doing stand-up, like the most regular occurring like monthly that I did. They didn't come to any of that stuff. And then I won a competition and I signed with a touring agency because I was like, well, they don't care.
It is interesting. There is that stigma of like an actor who tries stand-up and then does stand-up, which is interesting because I'd say like 80% of stand-ups want to be actors.
It's crazy.
Or were actors at some point.
Isn't it wild? Because I went from being an actor, you do set up good enough, then you get signed with a cool management team, and the first thing they do is send you sides. And if you didn't do any actor training, you're scared. I mean, I had been an actor, so I was like, great.
There's like most were actors in some way in high school or something, and then they become stand-up, or they become stand-up, and then they realize they love acting.
Yes.
Sort of like, but also it's like Richard Pryor wanted to be an actor. Yep. George Carlin wanted to be an actor. Joan Rivers wanted to be an actor. It's not.
And those are the people that people use as purists.
Yeah. There just is, I don't know.
It's people getting mad at Stavros. It's like whenever you see all the articles that are like, Stavi's going to Hollywood. And he comes on your podcast and says, I want to make people laugh in as many ways as possible. And for me, part of it is if you're a good actor, the reason you're good at stand-up is because you can take your set, which is set. It is a routine for a reason. You lift it and you can make it feel new and alive every time for that audience. And that's all acting is. All acting is, if the Stanislavski approach, if you want to use it, like, kind of acting realistically under imaginary circumstances, behaving as if these are truths and lifting that and performing that for people, that's acting.
It does reflect why probably so many stand-up comedians are good actors is one of the hardest things, at least for especially movie acting, which is like one of the hardest things, is to take lines and make them seem conversational. And like literally that is the job of a stand-up comedian.
And you get to punch up on set. Other actors, they'll be like, actually, don't do this. If you're a stand-up, they'll give you 2 takes where the script supervisor goes, okay, great. And then they go, okay, play a little bit. Do whatever you want to do.
The thing that's interesting, it's like, because you started later in life, you started, like you're a millennial, but so you still have a millennial's perspective on how show business should work.
Yeah.
Where like you're starting around a lot of younger people who do not have a perspective on show business. And
Jesse's calling me a traditionalist, and I am.
You believe the system will provide.
I do.
If you do a good job, and you do not have to do things. You don't need to do podcasts. You don't do the crowd. You don't need to, like, you're not trying to find attention shortcuts.
And unless I really want to. There are so many moments, and some of them I filmed and posted, where I'll have a fun crowd work moment. And my only thing is I just won't pin it to the top of my reels or pin it to my TikTok or like make it the most famous thing. Like, I just had a clip that went well because I was arguing with the guy who went to LSU. I went to Ole Miss. We had a little SEC, blah, blah, blah. To me, that's funny. It hit 1 million. And I know why it hit 1 million. It's because it's like, it's sports. It's semi-straight. It's also the confusion of a gay guy knowing ball. It's me yelling at a crowd person. They see the Comedy Cellar in the background. It's like all of these, it's a perfect storm.
Yeah.
But that isn't going to be what I continue to do. Some people, they see that. They go to hit 1 million. And then the comment section goes, oh, I want one of these for every SEC school. And I go, no, because there are enough guys on TikTok who put on a different SEC hat and go, this is what it felt to be this SEC football team this weekend. That's their bag. If they want to do it, great. But for me, there was a fun little happy accident with the LSU fan in the crowd.
Well, how do you justify in 2025 believing in Hollywood being able to provide you your career?
Because I'm an idealist. I'm a bit Pollyanna. I'm gullible. And I really do think that people like good stand-up. And the reason I think people really enjoy good stand-up, specifically the way I do it, and the way a few other people do it, and I'm very happy to name the people who I think are doing it the right way and crushing it right now. But because they come up to me and they go, oh my God, thank you so much. This was a really good show. Mm-hmm. My crowds enjoy the show. The staff at the clubs enjoy the show. These people who have to deal with so much stuff. Guess what? If I come and I do a weekend, I'm giving you 50 minutes of jokes. I might give you 10 minutes of fun and like local stuff, but I'm giving you fastballs. I'm throwing them at you, and you're going to get these jokes. Mm-hmm. And I want the crowd to go, thank God. Because guess what? That crowd, they pay for a babysitter. They pay for an Uber. They pay for dinner. They pay for tickets. They pay for 2 drinks. They pay for an Uber home. They might have bought something in the mall. It's my job to give them their money's worth, because if not, I don't look at comedy like I get to scam people. Mm. There's so many people right now who they have a very scammer mindset. They go, ooh, I'm getting away with this. They go, ooh, let me run a multi-level marketing scheme in Austin. Yeah. Let me put on a little game show called AGT. Austin's got trans folks. Yeah. Let me make these people feel less than. even though my special got taken down from Netflix. Let me make these people feel less than, even though all of them go, wait a second, I don't have a favorite Tony joke. Shit. Like, that you're scamming people.
Yeah.
And be truthful in that, but you are scamming people. I don't want anyone to think that I'm out to scam them. I want people to go, Jay put on a good show for us, and I'm so happy that I got to see him. And if you do that, in my opinion, you have a long fan base. Right now, okay, perfect example. The special comes out, and I don't want people to go, oh, should I see the special or should I go see him live? I go, guess what? You need to do both because this hour is completely different.
Yeah.
This is a different hour than the special because I was walking around with an hour 40 in my head, cut it, now stretch this new 40 into an hour. So you get both because I want you to get your money's worth because I respect you. This is the service industry. That's like the actor in me. I go, make sure the patrons enjoy it.
So it's like, how does it then relate to being like, this should be on Hulu, this shouldn't be on YouTube?
Yeah. So my goal was to get it on Hulu, Netflix, or HBO. And like the HBO, that path kind of went away because someone who loved me got laid off. And then I was lucky enough that Comedy Dynamics came to me and they wanted to film it. And they said, we'll film it and we'll try to sell it. I said, do your damnedest to sell it. Do your damnedest to sell it. And they did. And that also means I had to make some concessions as far as ownership. I had to make some concessions as far as like how much say I get to say when things drop, how much help I'm going to get. But for me, I want to try it this way as one of the last people on the sinking Titanic. I wanted to try it this way before I went the other way. Because if we tell everyone to be independent, what you're doing is telling everyone to have enough money to do it independently. And not everyone has enough money to do it independently. I did very well this year. I wasn't enthused at the prospect of having to spend $150,000 to shoot this special out of my pocket just so I could say I own it.
Yeah.
That wasn't something I wanted to do. Sorry. Because people don't talk about that. Because like, let's say you get like $200,000 for your special. You spend anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 to shoot it. You make $50,000 if you sell it. If you don't sell it, guess what? You got to go back on the road, and you better make that money because you just spent $100,000.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand that it's legitimately a lot of money to do.
Yes. Well, it's 6 expensive cameras. It's a bunch of people filming those cameras. It's a set. It's a theater. You pay for the tickets. The people are going for free because you didn't make those people pay to come see you film that special. So like and this is part of the transparency. People think when I talk about transparency, it's just me talking about how much I hate Tony Hinchcliffe and Joe Rogan. That's not it. It's also saying shit like that, like saying this is how much stuff cost. This is what comedy looks like. This is what you should be doing earlier in your career. I tell people right now, I go, hey, if your goal is to get good at comedy, go to as many mics that week that you can handle. Don't go to so many mics it starts being diminishing return. Don't film your mics or your smaller shows if they're bad, because one thing you can always do is you can beta test your material with a front-facing camera video and then do it on stage and go, okay, great. I know it's good. This will get clicks and this will get eyes on you, and that'll make you a pleasure in the room. And then people go, oh, come do my produced bar show. Like that. Because sometimes you'll see people setting up tripods for shit. You go, this ain't gonna be the crowd that gets you over. Just so you know, this crowd, they ain't gonna help you.
And at minimum, you might be like, you don't want to set up a situation where it's like going fine, and in the back of your mind, it's like, oh, I really hope that someone goes crazy right now.
Exactly. Whenever you do the Tonight Show, Michael Cox didn't ask for videos. He asked for fucking audio recordings when he's hearing your set.
Oh,
he doesn't. You could film it if you want, but the fastest turnaround is going to be, oh, give me this audio. So for the longest time, people have recorders. Then we have phones that have built-in recorders. So record that set, be happy with it, polish it. But I don't think you have to take that shortcut.
How many times have you done the Tonight Show?
4.
What is the secret to a good Tonight Show set?
The secret to a good Tonight Show set is kind of what I said earlier, getting away with something a little naughty. You always want to add something that makes an audience go, what? He's saying this? What? The Todd joke? Group sex? Oh, what? He's making fun of Stray Boys? He's making fun of Jimmy? What? He's referencing that the Roots are laughing too much? What? For real? He's pointing at the crowd and making fun of Gen Z to their face? What? Like, you always want to have a moment where the crowd at the show goes, this is happening in front of us for real. The other key, I think, is rehearse. Some people don't like to do the rehearsal. I love to do the rehearsal because in the rehearsal, you do your set, and if you actually do it 80 to 90%, the crew will laugh a lot. And once the crew laughs, you got your first laughs of the night. You feel so set. When people don't when people don't rehearse, I don't know how.
So you have these nitro sets. How do you think of an hour?
I think of an hour. Basically, now I go, ooh, okay, they kind of know who I am, but I still have to talk a little bit about introductory stuff. The hour I'm doing right now, currently, I open with a little bit of political stuff, and then I go back to me. I always think reintroduce, and then you can get into whatever you want to talk about. And primarily right now, I think it's a fun mini evolution of the first hour where I still talk about animals. I still talk about trans people. I still talk about my family. I talk about my family a bit more. I talk about history a bit more. I talk about race in a more sort of, I guess, sociological way. I do that in the new hour. I also I try to get a little gross because if I think about this special, there were moments where I was like a bit sanitized, and now I feel like on this second hour that I'm doing this current show, I want to get a little gross. I want to play a little grosser. I try to get rid of habits that I notice in my set from that first hour. I also try to evolve and have moments where people go, ooh, I've never seen Jay do this before. Because when I first started stand-up, I was like, this happens with so many Black people and queer people and women. You try to like shrink yourself and be very punch, and no sort of like act outs and no sort of like character and personality, because you think that all the straight white boys who do stand-up are going to say, oh, you're only funny because you're gay. Oh, you're only funny because you're so Black. Oh, you're only funny because you're talking about girl stuff. And then you sort of like forget all those critiques and you realize these are going to be the things that make you different and make you individual. You would never tell someone from Philly, oh, you're only funny because you say Eagles a weird way.
Yeah.
No, but like that's the kind of battle you have in your head when you first start doing stand-up, and it's a bunch of boys in dirty t-shirts.
It's so funny imagining that becomes, it's almost like a sketch where it's literally like a non-white or non-men comedians criticizing male comedians the way the reverse happens.
Yeah. That happens. I mean, that's funny.
So there are jokes that are cut that I imagine are new, but the joke that I kept on thinking was the run about how you're dumb.
Yeah.
Which includes many of my favorite jokes.
Yeah. That's in the current tour, but I cut it from that one.
Okay,
yeah.
So we don't have to get into it. So now we'll talk about clothes.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you spent a lot of time thinking about how you want to dress for this. So let's back up though. Generally, how do you feel about how comedians dress for their specials?
I think I never wanted people to make fun of my bomber jacket and my sneakers. Do you know, listen, Jesse, there was an epidemic where every male comedian went bomber and cool sneakers, and I just knew I didn't want to do that. I knew I wanted to play with something that was fun, but also like fancy, but still very me. So like, I didn't want anyone on like the side of menswear, both Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, to go, Jay's wearing the comedian outfit.
Yeah.
So that was my first goal. And then I wanted to like show I was like cool. So I wore very big pants. I wanted to also show off my body. So I wore a mesh cardigan with no shirt underneath, but it was still nice, still classy. So that was my only goal, was to like look comfortable and also like wear the stuff I usually wear.
Yeah, I think the best advice I heard was like dress how you normally would, except for the best version of it.
Yeah.
Who made that shirt?
Todd Snyder.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Todd Snyder. Because I do think there is so many ways in which male comedians go once they have an amount of money. And we've talked about this before, which is like a lot are like, oh, I guess I'll wear ALD.
Yeah.
Without sort of any context, they'll just like wear the hat and then they'll just like wear a sweatshirt.
Yeah,
but it's still like the same sweatshirt. Where you're... Because it's not, I think there's probably two reasons why you didn't sort of go the preppy angle. The first is you have a joke about lesbian shirts.
Yeah.
So you needed a shirt that like seemed in conversation with that shirt.
So it's a short sleeve sweater that is sort of bowling shirt adjacent. And so I do have the lesbian fashion joke. And so I had to make sure I was close to that.
But I do think I think a lot about how you dress for Pretty Major is a show that we've been doing for now for 4 years, 3 years, I don't know, whatever.
5 years next year.
5 years next year. So, which was a show at Union Hall. It's every other Tuesday. I'm a producer broadly defined. I don't really do my money. And you co-host with Zach Zimmerman. And every time it does feel like it's not like it's like outfits.
Yeah.
It's not drag, but there are times where you're like, it is interesting to now see more than knowing your material over time. I see how you dress over time. It's like, oh, this time it's like gonna be this week I'm wearing mesh.
Yeah.
This week it's like I'm wearing a basketball jersey.
Yeah.
And it does seem like you have more fun dressing for stage than most comedians I know.
I love it because it's also an instant sort of comment that you can make. One of my favorite jokes ever, and it's so funny that this is up there on my list. Tom Takar, in his special on Comedy Central, makes a joke about being Indian, but then he also has a wolf shirt, a shirt with two wolves, and he makes a joke how, like, you don't necessarily know what kind of Indian, because the wolf shirt is kind of... And to me, I was like, oh, that's perfect. I love that. And I love the fact that, like, I can sort of like make fun of myself about the clothes. There are also worlds where I can like make fun of something else based on the way I'm dressed. Like as a queer man, if I'm wearing a Knicks hat, if I'm wearing a Pistons jersey, I'm gonna comment on like this kind of sporty, chic subversion I'm doing. So I have that funny joke where I say like, oh, I'm not wearing this Pistons jersey because I'm a Pistons fan or because I love Grant Hill. I'm wearing it because I love Tamia, who is Grant Hill's wife. All right? I love that joke. That joke is super gay, super black, super sporty, irreverent, self-deprecating, all in less than 20 seconds.
Yeah. So I want to talk about certain jokes and joke writing process. The first question I did wonder is, you write a lot of jokes, and a lot of things sort of are piled on top.
Yeah.
Do you have Mark Norman brain?
Comedy, zinger.
Like, do you have the, like, your brain's broken in a way where you, like, literally don't remember how normal people talk?
Yeah.
You just literally are, like, you hear a word, and you're like, word association, like...
Yeah. I know how normal people talk, but I also can flip the switch to just go in the full zinger mode where you just listen for an opening. You just listen for an opening, and you go, okay, got one. You go, this. You go, okay, say it again. Great, cool. It basically is like, you're not listening you're not a good listener, but you are very good at going, what was that last word? Okay. You also kind of have to know word economy and just like really figure out some comedy math very quickly on the fly. And I love the fact that like Mark Norman can just go bing, 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 bing. But I also love the fact that like you can do that and stretch a little bit and play. Matthew Broussard was like, Jay, like, because I'll overtag.
Yeah.
And we'll
get into it.
Yeah, I'll overtag. And you know, the best part is that like, sometimes you'll go, that one, we're good. And sometimes you get to the fourth one and you go, what, you guys, are we still here? I put a joke in the special that I say, and it made it in the final cut, where I said, y'all can have that. That's just for y'all. It's the 50 Cent, the Jerusalem. I hate that joke and love that joke.
That is I was going to bring it up. So there are things that I booed you once at Pretty Major.
I love a boo. I love a boo.
You get too cute.
Yeah.
And that's the tension that you play with often. And then there's a time where I'm like, you're getting away with this. The audience does not know.
Yeah.
But you should not. That joke it's nice that's in the special because it's like, oh, that's what's like seeing Jay live. Where your party goes, you're not allowed to do that. That's bad.
And then as a comic on stage.
Can you explain what the basic premise of the Jerusalem joke is? So people all still listening to be mad at you?
Okay. So I have a joke where I say, if you told me my favorite rapper from 2003 would end up being anti-Semitic, I would have said, yeah, 50 Cent hates everybody. And that's the great joke. And I go, okay, you guys, since y'all laughed at that. This is what's like See Me Live. I go, since y'all laughed at that, let's do this. Let's play a game. Okay, this is a character I've been working on, and it's called Anti-Semitic 50 Cent. Okay, this weather sucks. You know who I'm going to blame? The and then that's it.
Yes.
That should be it. And what I do, I double dip. I go, yeah, anti-Semitic 50 Cent hates Jerusalem. And I love it because I gave you a great joke, a good joke, and then I gave you one where people, well, if you love me, you go, Jay, stop this.
Yeah.
Jay, you're actually being too silly. Because that sometimes is the goal. You want to get a bunch of laughs and you want people to go, stop, motherfucker, stop. Yeah. That's actually, you didn't have to do that.
I remember seeing Dave Chappelle once, and it was my favorite audience experience just because it was, I can't remember what it was, but for the most part, it was a decent set. And because the woman behind me, her way of laughing would be to quietly to herself go, You're so stupid.
Yes, that is the highest compliment from a Black audience member. Is if they go, "You're dumb. You dumb.
Yeah.
Stop being silly."
I just remember being like, I want her to be at every comedy show.
But I
think
also
found her. I think
but
she's a
also
journalist.
I love you. One time you came up to me and you're like, Jay, you love jokes, and also you love jokes with like a capital J, where sometimes the crowd go, that's too much of a joke.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, you wanna know why? Because this is all silly. All of this is jokes. And guess what? You got to deal with these great ones and the ones where I go, that one was just, listen, that was for me. Because the people who are scared to do that, the people who are scared to do that, they are still the liars who go, oh, this is just brilliance falling out of my head. No, you've done this hour before and you might do it again. So don't pretend like you don't know what you're going to say.
How has Shakespeare influenced you?
Ooh, I think that because stand-up is essentially a monologue or a soliloquy, depending on how you want to think about it.
Sure.
I think that stand-up we're in a world where you should be able to show how smart you are through your stand-up. And that's something that I took away from Shakespeare and from studying like Shaw and from like having to do like Oscar Wilde stuff. Like, I still like a world where queer men get to be the arbiters of wit. And we've lost a little bit of that because we've become Yorkies and clowns sometimes and kind of in two separate camps. But I still like it when people go, that gay guy, that queer guy, God, he's a good writer. God, it's just like kind of like an acerbic wit, like a rapier wit, like very pointed, but also he can be broad, he can be specific, he can be low, he can be high. I love that world. And that to me is the world of the Bard. That to me is the world of Oscar Wilde. That to me is kind of the one thing that was always missing. It's why I liked Mulaney, because he was the closest thing I saw to that from a person who wasn't gay but was queer-coded, just because he wasn't as sloppy as the rest of the boys.
I think also part of the reason it works is like, if a person was listening to this far and didn't know, they'd be like, your jokes have angles, they're not just sort of things. And part of that is sort of the background. Speaking of traditional path, while it still existed, you worked for The Problem with Jon Stewart.
The Problem with Jon Stewart on Apple TV+.
What did you learn from Jon? Or what was a day on set where you learned something from Jon?
Oh, okay. So Jon was very clear that argument and logic were going to be the kind of like the meat of the monologue, and you could always add jokes. My issue when I first got there is I'm so joke. I'll go, get a joke. And sometimes I wasn't helping with the argument. Sometimes I wasn't helping with the logic and the through line. And to be able to point out some of the inconsistencies in the logic and make that airtight is way more important than punch up. But because I was coming from stand-up and I was still doing stand-up every night when I left the office, and I was still doing stand-up on the road when we weren't taping episodes, I was like, just joke. And so that's something I had to like really sort of rewire in my brain. Because when I first got that job, my goal was to just make Jon laugh every week. And I was so unapologetically bold about it. One time we had a meeting, Jon said, and then he was like working on the house. He said, oh, I had to like get rid of this wasp's nest. And I said, listen, Jon, I hate white people too, but we need to focus. We got a job to do. And so like I did that.
Jurden ass joke.
Exactly. And I did that on the Zoom. And so everyone laughed. And then that was one of the first moments, because our head writer at the time, Chelsea Devante, said, don't be afraid of Jon. If you're afraid of Jon, if you're quiet, if you're meek, it won't work.
The other thing, other than Jon Stewart, I was wondering if you, talking about writing, I believe a story about like a note that Roy Wood Jr. once sent you. Can you talk about that?
So when I first moved to New York and after I started doing stand-up, I sent Roy like an early clip of me doing a joke on one of the gay bar shows I was doing. And I said, hey, Roy, big fan. I just moved to New York, just started comedy. Do you have like any advice? And he messaged me back, and he basically said that stand-up, the only way it works if you can withstand getting kicked in the chest and hearing no repeatedly, kind of in the most aggressive way, both from an audience and from bookers and from opportunities. And if you can withstand that, then you can do stand-up. And after all that is like jokes and marketability, but you have to be able to handle so many no's so early. And I had these no's early on that would like wreck me. And I would think about what he sent and I would go, okay, well, I got to handle this. Like I didn't get, as a comic, you know this, like as a comic, when we talk to y'all, like it's the shit you don't get, you remember. Didn't get Clusterfest. Remember that. Didn't get Comedy Central 30. Remember that. Didn't get Verified Stand Up on Netflix. They made me host that. I walked into that like taping, and it was Rosebud, Dulce Sloan, Gianmarco Ceresi, Nimesh. Who else? There was someone else there that like kind of made a face and was like, "Jay, are you on it?" I said, "Nah." They said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing," and I'm hosting. And they said, "Why?" I said, "Hey. If we talk about that here, they ain't gonna want me on set. So let's be good."
Didn't he also? I think he said Roy told you need to know the difference between what the joke is and what the point is. Or something?
Yeah. There was more to that where he actually gave me advice, but like what the joke is, what the point is, versus like what's funny and what are you trying to say?
Yeah.
Because those things can sometimes be combined, but sometimes they are separate. Because then those comics where like they say a joke and then they kind of tell you what the lesson is, and then sometimes you reverse engineer and you go, "Hey, you guys, this. That's boring. Here's a joke."
Yeah.
So there are ways where you can differentiate the two.
So there are simple jokes in your special. There are more complicated jokes in terms of the amount of tags and sort of structure. We'll talk with a simple one, and you can talk about sort of how you think about it. So like the cuckold joke,
Yeah.
Can you explain what the basic premise is, which is, I think, simpler in its structure.
Yeah.
And I think will be a good example of that.
Okay, I basically open up, like, this is pretty early in the hour where I say, me and my husband have been together for a while, so we want to spice up the marriage. So we started doing a little thing called cuckoldry. And then the crowd, there's a tag earlier where I say, "Do y'all know about this? Are y'all watching this? Are y'all watching people watch this?" Which is a very kind of like good cuckolding joke. And then I say, so cuckolding, if you don't know, that's what me and my husband together, we like to watch TV shows that did not cast me. And to me, that is perfect. That's a perfect industry joke that's not an industry joke. It's a dirty joke that's not a dirty joke. And it's a true joke. At a certain point of like comedy fame, you'll watch a TV show, you'll go, dialogue. I did this side. Wow. Yeah, you're right. I didn't get that. And it's funny because it's all true except for the last part. The last part is that it's about Abbott, and I did get the Abbott pilot early. I did get to read for Gregory Eddy, and then I did see Janelle after like Abbott had blown up, but like Janelle was not like I
know because the first version of the time you did the joke, you'd say Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan Temple was a writer for it.
I say
Jordan told me not to tell that joke.
And because I was like, well, people know. People know Ava. People know Janelle was a comic. Let me switch it up because like there's a world where I could have said a bunch of people who work on that show, but I was like, okay, Jordan, because I was a little bit closer with Jordan at the time, but like once again.
So in the section about your husband, you lie.
Yeah.
You how dare you? No, it's you talk about how you cheat on your husband. He doesn't like that joke.
Yeah.
The difference, whatever. I mean, they don't need to go specific of it, but like. You're pretty other you have material not in this special, but you have material on Tonight Show sets or whatever about boyfriends and stuff.
Fun little open and closed stuff. Yeah.
We don't need. But why lie?
Because cheating is, and this is connected, cheating is transgressive, so you get a laugh out of breaking the rules. And then you also get to play with, I don't know what to believe from Jay, because Jay, because it comes after all the Todd stuff, which is so funny that people still laugh at it. And in my head, I was like, does this map logically? I talk about all this group sex, wedding stuff, and then I say cheat, and they go, well, how can you cheat him? And I go, no, it's because cheating is a fun word.
Yeah.
And it's because I wanted to get to this silly joke where I basically play with the word Aaron versus Aaron.
Yes. I also think it's interesting because it's the type of joke that 10 years ago you would do the same, but like Hannibal would be like, I know I said, we had a threesome or whatever together, but in this joke, this is the case.
Yeah,
I think people, for this point, you're going so fast that everyone's just sort of like, we're in it. All right, we're in the reality. And also you build essentially like a lot of little structures. So you're like, we're now in the structure of this joke. This is the benefit of a more structured comedy style, is that like, people know they're feeling like we're in the rules of whatever this joke is.
Yeah, I think that speed for me from a comedy standpoint, speed is so important. And when I say speed, I mean rhythm, the ability to ramp up and slow down. Some people, they go steady, and you really kind of have to write so well and really trick people so quickly. I go fast. I can go fast, slow, fast. People go, is it going to go slow? I go, I'll go slow right now. And they go, are you going to say slow? I go, no. And then we speed up again.
There's a part where you talk so fast where you talk about how sand is gay dirt.
Yeah.
And then you explain why. And it's like truly, you would have to like plus. It's the only shame of it not being on YouTube is you can't see where people rewind. I do think people are like, why is sand like gay dirt?
Well, because
for those watching, can you explain why sand is like gay dirt?
Okay, sand is like gay dirt in the sense that, oh my gosh, what do I say? I go, it's the see at the beach joke where I go, sand is a lot like gay dirt in the sense that it always ends up in your husband's trunks.
That's the end of it,
Yeah, that's the end of it. Where I go, oh, it's malleable, slightly irritating. I go, sand is like gay dirt, and by that I mean it's malleable, slightly irritating, and somehow always ends up in your husband's trunks.
Yeah, it was like.
And to me, I love a triplet. If you watch the special, Jesse knows. I love a triplet. Sometimes I'll give you a quartet, but I love a triplet because for people who don't study comedy, they go, oh, I like that because it resolved. And they don't know why. Because if you give them one, they go, okay, that's great. If you give them two, they go, oh, could you give us one more? If you give us three, they go, the music.
Yeah.
They go, it ended. And then with that one, I go, short, slightly longer, longest, boom.
Yeah.
And we're out. And then I give you a final tag where I go, and ladies, if your husband laughed at that joke, I'll see y'all at the beach.
Yeah, I mean, it is like truly, it's musical. I mean, like truly, you can. Having seen you more than probably any other stand-up comedian in my life, because I see you every other week. It truly is like So
people talk about sometimes when people see me, they go, "Oh, this was like slam poetry," and I go, "Yes," in the sense that there's rhythm and music, but more so, I want you to demand more from the comics you see who are sort of arrhythmic, because there's a music that also helps you memorize your jokes in such a way that you know your melody, you know what note you have to hit. You hear a joke and you go, I'm not playing enough vocally. There are not enough pings. There's not enough growl. There's not enough difference in the way that I say things. Because some people just don't even know that the words are also... You can play with like the definitions of things. You can play with like joke structure. But you can also play with the words within those jokes.
Yeah. So I think probably the most complicated joke in the special is the face tattoo joke. Which, in that... It's like 1,000 tags, but it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like now you're actually a new part of a joke, but you're still... and I can only imagine watching it live and you're like, when is this? When do I get to breathe? And then, so can you map out as much of it as you want?
Sure.
Because the thing about it that I think is interesting about that joke, and then also there's a Gen Z joke, it's like, I imagine you can do the joke without saying any words, right? I imagine there's like a kabuki quality to it. Because every action is like, it's okay, this one's this one, and then there's this part.
Yeah.
So can you just map out that entire joke for those who have not seen it?
So we're in the Millennial section of my...
Yes, you have a big section about
I have a big section about every generation. And actually, I want to say I apologize to Gen X, because now the Gen X stuff, it could be better. They were an afterthought for me. Primarily, I used to have a joke where Gen X would be like, you didn't do us. And I'd be like, well, you don't get a participation trophy. Sorry. Like, that was my joke. But and in the special, I actually do something that is very not me, but fun, where I say, why were y'all so easy to molest? And the crowd laughs while I go, oh, and I go, oh, yeah, okay, sorry, drink it off. So in the Millennial section, I say that we gave the world emo rap. And I say, I love emo rap. And then like every comic, I go, I hate emo rap. Because emo rappers have face tattoos, and I don't like face tattoos because of what they do to me. They turn me into a baby boomer. And so then I do a whole act out where I become a baby boomer. And I have all these things that baby boomers say, whereas I say, get a job, pull up your pants, drink some milk from a cow, put on some stockings, and help me attach this PDF. Oh, by the way, the president is a good man. Not calling me for a brisk walk around the mall. That's 6 things. That's a list of 6 things. And what I want to do in that moment is both do an act out, do a character, and say funny things that basically whenever you become in your mid to late 30s, you have the ability to start to become a boomer. You have the ability to start hating people for doing things differently than you. And I bump up against these kind of curmudgeon tendencies, and I wanted to make fun of that. And so in that joke, I'm kind of making fun of myself, but also making fun of boomers and getting to do a fun act out. And then I stay in that character for a bit, and I talk about old people wanting to remind you they still fuck.
Yeah, it's because I do think PDF is, or a lot of people might have ended at pull up your, drink milk from a cow, tag me in. But then you have the PDF, which is like, oh, wait, now a world is being built where this person's asking things of you. And then the president is a good man. And as you know, I personally miss Joe Biden is a good man. Which is what the joke used to be when Joe Biden was
when Joe Biden was president.
Because the way you said Joe Biden was exactly how the character would have said Joe Biden.
I loved it when it was Joe Biden and that beta tested Donald Trump. People booed. People do not want you to say.
Because now they're like, who's this character?
And I filmed it in April, and so the election had already happened, and I still wanted to say the president, but I didn't necessarily want to say Donald Trump. And it was in New Orleans, and so I was like, okay, the president is a good man is something that boomers think, regardless of who the president is, usually.
Yeah, the idea that the president is a man.
He's president. He's got to be a good man. So that helped. If Kamala would have won, I don't know what I would say.
Yeah, that completely would throw it off.
Yeah.
Oh, man, the way for those, if you had a time machine, go back to when I used to say Joe Biden. So then this man continues going, right? So brisk walk could be the end, but then now you're doing an act out in the act out where you then act out walking and you walk very funny.
Yeah.
And then
I goose step a little bit for people who pay attention.
And then now he's talking about poop.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, now this is part of it?
Yeah.
Still? And then so he goes into, we're spicing up in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And you then have a joke about Hitachi.
Yeah, Hitachi magic wand. Yeah. The Hitachi magic wand joke, there are two tags, and I used to alternate them. What it ended up being in the special is, I think, Hitachi magic wand. That sounds like a Studio Ghibli anime, is what I say. Sometimes what I used to say on the road is Hitachi. Is that when the Japanese people cook the rice in front of you at Benihana?
That's the one that's in the special.
Okay.
It's the Benihana one.
Okay, and so what happens is that sometimes if the crowd is weird enough, the Studio Ghibli anime really hits. Sometimes if the crowd is just not super weird, because that is an esoteric tag. Yes. That is hyper specific. I was close to saying, Princess Mononoke, but that's not the world we live in. So
and I think Ben High's, because you still have more joke to go.
Yeah.
Because you're still, and this is still, I think, would generally be called
an act out.
But it's like you're 9,000 tags deep.
Yeah.
You've now completely pivoted to a new joke about if older women should be allowed to squirt.
Yeah.
Which is now, and so you then completely flip, right?
Yeah.
So explain that part of it for those who haven't seen.
Yeah.
I don't want
So
that.
basically, I go into I become the boomer, and now I'm talking to you as my child about how me and your mother still have an active sex life, and I bought her Hitachi magic wand, and it works well. It works too well. We had to put a towel down. Your mom's a squirt. And then I peel back, and I'm in character up until I go, okay, by the way, that's a joke about your mom squirting. And just so we're clear as an audience, how do we feel about older women squirting? And it's to me, I see it come from miles away. Maybe they don't, but the crowd goes, woo! I go, no, they can slip and fall. Is that what you want? You want to make this phone call? Yeah. And so then I become
and now it's a new scene.
I go, yeah, we found mom. Good news, she looks peaceful. Bad news is stuck. So that to me,
the sword and stone situation. And now it's like, over here.
Yeah. So I morph back into a different person, and that's just still in the millennial section of the generation.
It's wild, man. It is wild. No one's doing it.
Well,
no one's doing that.
To me, that's an acting exercise. It's a fun old man voice. I get to you basically get to do a Family Guy scene cutaway. Seth MacFarlane is such an influence to me because I get to do a Family Guy scene cutaway, but just with me.
Yeah, that's so. I didn't think about that. I was thinking about what the influences of this level of density, and because there aren't tons of people that can easily compare to. And I was thinking Family Guy, 30 Rock, Lonely Island.
Yeah, Lonely Island. Yeah.
Which is
all huge influences.
Yeah,
and peak millennial stuff.
Yeah. The other thing is, this shows like you're a trickster, right? It's like you're the old man part of you, and then you have the part of you that's like inherently you are a Loki like figure.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking off a mask and taking off a different mask, and then being like, "What's behind you?" And they turn around and they go, "It's you." I go, "It was me the whole time." That's actually a very good example of what I think comedy really can be, stand up, because there are times when I get so strict on myself, but that is like immersive, it's joke dense, it's also an act out. There were years when like people would judge act outs. It comes from like Dane Cook, like Beef and whatever, and people thinking that you weren't writing enough. If you write really, really, really well and you perform really well, people's minds are blown. And so that's an example that I'm very proud of.
How did it just sort of like keep on going? Like, did you have the face tattoos boomer concept, and then you were sort of played it out, and then you're like on stage riff kept on going?
Yeah, there a lot. You've seen multiple things become you've seen a couple of things get set. You saw the echidna joke that ended up on Fallon start with the platypus joke at Union Hall, and then I had a throwaway line where I was like, monitoring sweat milk. Yeah, like a kid from the Midwest. And to me, platypus is first thought monitoring. Echidnas are always second thought monitoring. So I went with echidna for the final version. And because I did see an echidna there. And then this one also started with me acting like an old man. One of the first times I ever acted, I want to say 6th or 5th grade, I got to pretend to be an old man. And I love younger people playing old because it's such a critique of what you think old people are like. It's also fun because like I was 36 when I shot this. I'm not old, but I'm older, and I'm old enough that I have a little bit of respect from people when I do comedy, that I can do an old person and they're not like, that's crazy. It's like, okay, well, wait a minute, Jay, you kind of old. So
you're definitely old for a young person.
Exactly. And I wanted to really capture all of that. And I also love, this is part of like my comedy origin story. I love throwing people off. I love misdirection. I love wordplay, but I really love a crowd going, I don't know what is he doing? What's he gonna do next? They'll say, Jay, you have 2 hours in there. And I go, yeah. I go, slow.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is the thing is,
it's like it's over 200 laughs. I think it's like 200.
But it's like truly like this, you have it, there's only so many, like, it's truly that feeling of like, there's no way if someone saw you, they could remember the jokes because they can't remember where it started.
That's the key. I never want someone to know my joke verbatim. I like people to know my punchlines. I want people to go, how do you get into this? I love, my style is very traditional, but then there are moments where I go fully unorthodox. And that's a little bit of Katie too, where I have a very good game, but then sometimes I'll go goofy and they'll go, wait, you can't do that. I go, yes, I can. What are you talking about? I can't go. You thought I couldn't go left? I'm gonna go left real quick.
Defend being a millennial.
Ooh, millennials, we're the generation that made you become better at comedy. There is no comedy boom without millennials. So if you want to get famous from stand-up, from sketch, from internet videos, millennials are the only reason that is an income source for you. So if you think a millennial cringe comedy is terrible, some of it is. But you have to thank us for creating a landscape that both focused on comedy being popular and made comedy better. Everyone's comedy acumen now is higher because of millennials. So you have more discerning taste because of us, because of 30 Rock, because of those years at SNL, because of Lonely Island, because of the fact that late night shows started to be like, we have to be pretty good now.
Yeah.
We can't just have a guy come on with snakes all the time. We love snakes, but we're gonna have to write some sketches. We're gonna have to do monologues like Jon Stewart. It was millennials.
Yeah.
Millennials and later Gen X. Gen X was kind of in front of the camera, but millennials kind of push all of that.
And having watched so much stand-up, like not having algorithms to be like, you like this, we'll give you more of this. We'd be like, I'm turning on Comedy Central, I like stand-up. And like, watching all of it and being like, oh, Comic View has stand-up on after this is on, so I guess I'll watch Comic View.
And guess what?
I was watching Comic View every night, and look.
And it was on every night. It was on every night.
And not all of it was good, but it was you're just sort of like, oh, comedy can be anything.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like millennials are the like believe it's an art form that can be anything. Where I do think it's like you and me, I guess, you know, we're fighting the fight of like, let's have multiple definitions.
Yes.
We can fight out, but which is the best. But like ultimately, I think that's the case for it.
And all of this stuff does help people get better. I want to be good enough at stand-up that I'm also good in a sketch. And you, as a sketch performer, should want to every now and then be able to deliver an amazing presentation at an award show where people go, oh my God, that was really fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ability to stand and deliver is like stand-ups, and the ability to perform with an ensemble is sketch. And making sure you have both of those skill sets is what make people go, oh, you're really good. There's a reason why people every month go, these are my favorite clips from 30 Rock. These are my favorite Key and Peele sketches, because it's not going away.
Yeah. No one's writing that dense. Like, it just does not.
I'm trying to do it on stage.
Yeah, I know. Why are you so good? Like, why try this hard?
I want people, I love trying hard when it comes to stand-up. I think that, and this is tied to the male loneliness epidemic, trying hard is faggy, trying hard is girly, trying hard, studying, excelling, executing. Stand-up, it's an art form, but also it is quantifiable because there's an immediate response that is measurable from a decibel level in the room right then. So it's not just an art form. It's dance, but competition dance. If you want to, it could be snowboarding, it could be gymnastics, it could be diving. Because this is what happens. You go, this is what I'm going to do. The judges go, that's what you're going to do? You go, this is what I'm going to do. They're going to gauge you on how hard these things are and how well you execute and how repeatable it is. And the judges, in this case, sometimes are literal judges, but sometimes it's the audience. And the audience goes, you excelled both in level of difficulty and execution. Execution is not flubbing your words. Execution is making sure you can make this joke funny tonight, tomorrow night, in front of this crowd, in front of that crowd. You know this. The jokes I do at Union Hall, I do the same jokes in the special and at the cellar. Sometimes I'll tweak. I'll go a little bit more specific, but when I go to Union Hall, I'll be like, ugh, y'all are straight. When I go to, and they'll go, no, we're not, ha. When I go to the cellar, I go, ugh, y'all are gay. They go, no, we're not, ha. Like, there are easy little fixes. And in the cellar, I have an even better case because I go, y'all are gay. They go, we're not gay. I go, you're in a basement in the village? You gay. Okay, if this was the 40s, you'd be arrested.
And then the question I want to ask is, do you believe in God?
Oh, yes. So I've talked about this recently a little bit. I used to be like super Christian because I was raised in the church. My mom made us go to church Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. Now I don't think there's a guy with a beard up there. I think I've heard from people who I respect and really admire that maybe God is entropy. Maybe God is the scattering of all of these things in such a way that we're so lucky that it ends up being like this. Maybe God is the happenstance and the luck that we happen to be in the habitable zone at the right time where we can even ask that question. Maybe that's God. Maybe God is love. Maybe God is the way that humans form connections that should just be electrical signals, but we go, no, this has to be something more. Maybe that's God. So that's my answer when it comes to like, do I believe in God?
I ask because knowing you and knowing, preparing for this, it's like you feel like such an extension of your mother's relationship to God.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that? And what that was like, and how do you feel like
this is so beautiful, and I'm actually like very happy you asked. My mom, super Christian, but loves her queer, bisexual, silly ass, loud, slutty son. Like, loves me in a way that, like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to really put in the words how much she loves me. I was so scared to come out to my mom, and she was so chill. And she didn't have to be. And she let me be me. She let me do theater. She let me change career paths. She let me go to grad school. There was never any push to be anything other than happy. And there are moments where I go, did she know? Did she know when I was 4 and I went up to my teacher and I said, I'm fascinated by dinosaurs? Because that's a little gay thing to say. But it's also a little thing that you go, hey, guess what? If that little boy likes dinosaurs and he wants to tell you, let him tell you. And that's kind of like, also where my animal stuff comes from in my stand-up, where my mythology, highly referential, kind of zoo book stuff comes from, because I go, I love this thing. I want to tell you about this thing. So my mom's love for me it really allowed me to get good at stand-up. And she let me move to New York. She didn't know what was going to happen, but she knew I could be a personal trainer, and she knew I was a pretty good actor, and she knew I was handsome enough to at least get a toothpaste commercial. And that's it. And so I love that woman so much.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like, especially with Yes Man being the name of the special, it feels like it's dedicated to her. Do you feel like, and then we'll do laughing round, and then it'll be fine.
You almost made me.
Yeah, we might want to start laughing around now. They're outside.
You almost made me cry.
That was a hope, man. Now he's about to cry. We'll just do it. All right. So I was going to ask about your dad, but next time around.
You can ask about my dad.
Okay. These famous soccer players are outside. Now it's time for the final segment. It's called a laughing round. It's like a lightning round, but jokes. Do you have a favorite joke?
Ooh, my favorite joke? From me or from someone else?
Joke, like a street joke.
Ooh, a favorite street joke. Oh, God. What's the one Matt Rife did in his special? Okay.
Do you have a short story of an interaction with a legendary comedian, living or dead, you're willing to share?
Oh, yes, 100%. Keith Robinson. I love Keith Robinson. I was really scared to go to the Comedy Cellar table whenever I first got past there. And Keith Robinson, he was there. And it was after he'd had his stroke. And I just remember he was being mean to Mateo. And Mateo was like, he hates gay people. He was like, no, I just hate you. And I was like, oh, okay. Y'all, this is fun. That's one. And then the other big famous one, I did Tonight Show 2019. I come off stage. Adam Sandler and Lorne Michaels were there. So Adam Sandler was there promoting Uncut Gems, and he did an interview. He watched my set, to my surprise. Lorne Michaels was there because Tim Meadows was upstairs talking to Seth Meyers. And if you have all four of them, Lorne is summoned through a portal. And so Lorne was there. And Lorne did not acknowledge me. And I was like, well, looks like I'm not getting the audition. But it was a good set.
Yeah. What's something that people think is comedy that you think isn't?
Ooh, the culture of cruelty currently. I don't think that making fun of people who need $50,000 that badly is comedy. Drewski. I don't think Drewski filming people on different levels of the autism spectrum who just need money desperately, auditioning for a fake record company, I don't think that's comedy. I don't think that making fun of people who have a different amount of limbs than you on stage in Austin is comedy. I don't think that these people driving a van from California to Texas on the hope that they can make it, I don't think that's comedy. That's desperation. And what you're doing is essentially Whack Pack 2.0, and Howard Stern stopped that for a reason. I don't think it's comedy. I think it's cruelty. I think it's kind of part of our broken system when it comes to how do you make it as an artist in this industry. But I don't think it's comedy. I think it's something sadder.
Yeah. Last one. What is a joke that never worked, but you'll go to your grave being like, I was right there wrong?
A joke that never... Oh, there's one right now that it just isn't working and I wanted to. I say my husband fancies himself an amateur interior decorator, and I also fancy myself an amateur interior decorator, but that's just a lot of words to let you know I'm a top. And some people like it, some people don't. It splits the room. Maybe it's too wordy. Maybe it's too cutesy, but I love that joke.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse, for having me.